Hello, happy Wednesday, Chelan County. It is time for the Power Hour. And today we have count them, three special guests. We have Lisa and Travis Turner from Community Glass, who are going to talk about all things windows, skylights, letting the light in, getting outside through your patio doors, all the fun stuff. And we also have Josh Mitchell, Chelan PUD's residential energy advisor, to talk about other cool stuff to get ready for summer, like pool pumps and heaters, ACs, and all the ways that we like to get outside and stay cozy indoors as the temperature goes up. So, welcome to episode 3. Hello, Lisa and Travis. I'm actually going to update your name because it just says Travis. And Lisa, you're definitely here too. Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. I appreciate you guys so much for coming out to chat with us about windows. Let's just dive right in. And, you guys install all kinds of windows. Today we're talking about windows in homes and businesses. What have you guys been seeing recently?
We're seeing a lot of house packages, actually, a lot of new construction. We're still seeing upgrades. One of the things that we saw a lot, I think, with people during the COVID, people being home, they had more of an opportunity to look at their windows and see that there was maybe some places that they wanted to do some upgrades. So we're still seeing a lot of activity there. And, a lot of glass replacement. Sometimes people don't realize that they can just, once they already have vinyl windows, if their windows get foggy or their windows get cracked, they can replace just the glass without having to do a whole new frame. So, we're
Wait a
seeing a lot
minute,
of
wait
that.
a minute. So, like the insulated glass units, you
Mhm,
can just
mhm.
swap out without having to have a giant hole in your house.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. So, if you have a old double pane that's not maybe performing like it did when you put it in 1992, you don't have to replace the whole shebang, just that insulated glass?
Correct. And the
Okay.
and the lead times on the glass are much better than lead times on a full window. So a tempered is about 2 weeks. A regular one we can normally do a 1 week turnaround. We have a great vendor out of Yakima. Um, Sometimes it takes us a couple weeks to get to you to measure because we are very busy in the measuring. We come out and measure at no cost. So we try to mix measures in with our installs and, make efficient with gas if we're going to Chelan, that we do all the Chelan stuff on one day and
Mhm.
Leavenworth and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, people can replace just the glass unit. It's a much quicker and more economic way to fix a window.
Okay. And are we talking like half as much or like, I
Uh,
mean,
it depends. Where the bigger savings is on the labor.
sure.
Glass is still expensive, so but it's more on the labor because it's much quicker to just replace glass.
Cool. And can we talk a little bit about the labor? Because, the PUD, we offer rebates on our windows. So we see a ton of folks who some do it themselves for the installation when they replace from those old single panes to new
Hmm.
modern windows. And a lot of people use contractors. Why would someone go with a contractor like you guys?
Because it just happened just recently. We had a customer. Uh, it was a house that had lead. Well, with lead, we end up having to uh, do different procedures for that. We
Mm,
got to really individually wrap the windows, get somebody in there, so the cost comes up on a lot of these old wood windows. And so then they go, well, all right. Well, then they decide, oh, well, I'll just put them in by myself to where then I don't have to have that cost. Well, then I ended up getting pictures back, and they were definitely installed wrong. There is a way to put a window in. It's not just magically, you know. Um, so there's a lot of shimming. There's a lot of, just certain things that you got to do. And
mhm.
so that's why sometimes you got to just, leave it up to the professionals.
For sure. Yeah, I know Josh is going to join us in just a little bit, but I know that, we've seen some pretty dodgy installs over the years because he'll go and actually check on some of the rebate applications. We'll go make sure that they're installed, help out customers at all, just do a little QC, if you will. And so you can really tell if the window was installed correctly. And the window itself makes a big difference. But even if you have like the highest performing window on the planet and then you plunk it in and you don't seal properly around it, you're paying for a lot of window that's not giving you the kind of performance that you want.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
and I don't think people realize that there's a square hole is not a square hole in most of these homes. And especially if the home is, more than 5 or 10 years old, what started square is no longer square. So you really have to know how to adjust, like Travis was saying with the shimmy, you have to know how to adjust the window so it does give you a proper seal. So.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we did have a couple of questions come in before that I'll start with those. And if you are listening and you have any questions for Lisa, Travis, or Josh a little bit later in our show, just drop them in the chats. We're live on YouTube and Facebook, and we can see those comments and ask them for their expertise. So let me just pull one of the questions that we got, which was actually about skylights. So Rich was asking, to light our home, is it more efficient to do a skylight or a window? Or if we're adding something new or designing a new home, what do you guys recommend?
Believe it or not, actually, there's this new technology. It's been out for a little while now. It's called the solar tube. Skylights are wonderful, but it definitely is not energy efficient. You got a big hole in your roof where a solar tube is actually just a little dome that you can have the pipe go anywhere you want in your home, and it creates light. And believe it or not, it creates a lot. We did a customer's home. He wanted like six of them, and ended up getting a phone call on a full moon. And he said I didn't even have to turn on the light at night because it was so bright in my house. So it's a really cool thing, and it doesn't leave a big hole in your
Mhm.
ceiling to get to that skylight. It's just a like kind of like a light fixture, and so it's definitely helps with keeping it warmer.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I went to a friend's house a while ago and I went in their bathroom and there was this bright light coming from behind the shower curtain. And I was like, what
Mhm.
is that? And I look, and with a solar tube, it looks just basically like a recessed light almost. Like there's a
Mhm.
circle and it has a
Right.
trim, but it was really bright and like, not like where I was stunned, but it was a lot of really high quality light. And I'm like, wow, I wonder this is what I do. I wonder what kind they have. Is that an LED? So I asked, and you're right. It was not a very big hole, and the entire bathroom was lit up with this really nice light just because they put in a solar tube. It's a pretty cool
Right.
thing. Yeah.
We also get a lot of calls on leaking skylights, which 90% of the time is a roofing issue, not a window issue. So I think people, and that just has to do with how it's installed, and over time the sealants can break down. So people, I think sometimes get frustrated because they think, well, the window's leaking, so I need a new window. And then we come out and take a look, and it's more of a roofing issue. So it's just something to think through when somebody's building or wanting that additional light.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of if you want light, check out a solar tube, at least if it's on that sort of if you have roof access. If you're down in
Yeah,
the basement, you might not throw a solar
yeah,
tube down through
yeah,
your wall.
yeah. I know, right?
um, but instead of a skylight, because that's generally what people are after, lighting up places that are quite dark in their home. And then in terms of windows versus skylight, again, those are kind of different things. If you're highlighting a view, skylights
Hmm.
aren't going to help you too much unless it's of the moon on your birthday or something cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Josh actually had some questions about like new window technology that might be coming out, like any storm windows that are kind of cool, any triple pane stuff that you guys have been seeing. What's new in the window world?
We are starting to see a lot more triple pane. We're getting a lot of these newer contractors that are starting to go with a triple pane. It's definitely higher in the energy efficient. And so that is new. It's been out for a little while, but it's new here to the valley. We're starting to get more into it, and so yeah, it's a cool thing. And the vinyl itself hasn't changed. The construction part of it, they are starting to reinforce it a little bit more. Fiberglass is a good one too, especially with our climate around here. Just how hot it gets and then how cold it gets. And so yeah, there's just a lot of new product that is out there that's getting better for our valley.
And so, what's the difference between fiberglass versus vinyl? Like, does it perform
Fiberglass,
better or?
it's the same energy efficient wise, but fiberglass is better for. It's stronger. It won't warp in the heat. It gives a little bit more strength.
And which one is better for, say, like fire protection or fire resistance?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure that they're both the same on that end.
Sure, for sure. Yeah, I know that with some fire resistant homes that have been built, they've been using aluminum framed, but like modern, insulated, not
Right.
crappy aluminum frame windows. But yeah, that's a that's one I guess some folks off a little bit further out of the cities are thinking about.
Well, and then another thing that I wanted to bring up too is just like if you're like on, let's use Grant Road as for example. It's a busy little road there. A lot of them homes right there. We can actually, if you have vinyl windows in right now, we can actually change out the glass, go with a laminated glass to where it helps keep down the noise. Makes your house a
Mm,
lot quieter, and so you don't have the road noise.
yeah, absolutely. A couple of friends of mine lived in a flight path of a major international airport. They had quadruple pane windows, and you could see, like, faces almost as the planes would go by, but you couldn't hear them. It was the weirdest thing ever. So your windows do matter for sound. All right, we have a question that Haley dropped in here. What does the PUD provide rebates for? Are we talking about just replacing and for upgrading and replacing the pane of the glass or glazing? So I think she might be talking about those insulated glass panels. And Josh, can I bring you in to answer this one since this one's a PUD question? Dun, dun,
Yep.
dun. Hey, Josh.
Hey, thanks for the
Welcome.
question, Haley. We don't offer a rebate for replacement of the window pane itself. Most of our energy savings are based on the frame, and so there isn't a rebate for that.
All right. Maybe in future years, once there's more of these, because the more single panes or older windows that gets replaced, eventually the life of those windows that started getting put in, 30, 40 years ago are going to kind of come up. So, but right now, alas, it's just the whole frame. Thanks, Josh. All right, cool. I'm going to go to a sort of similar question related to the skylight one. So there's someone who is building a new home and they're thinking about incorporating clerestory windows. So windows that are higher up. So you'll often see them like near the peak of a home. Maybe the peak is offset and you can put windows up there, or like a shed roofed home, you'll put them up nice and high. And he's asking if this is a smart idea to save energy, to have those windows presumably for like light coming in, or maybe if they're operable, you could vent during summer to let some of that hot air out. What do you guys say?
I say yes, absolutely, because obviously, with people just in their home, the more light, the happier they are. Is that those are energy efficient, and then we do have different ways that you can have them open. There's different, like motorized to a crank style, and so yeah, it's a great option.
Ah, Sorry, technical glitches. Okay, cool. I will say with clerestory windows and things that, so there's a couple things. Like generally with clerestory, you have to have high enough ceilings. And so whenever you're bumping up ceilings, you're bumping up the volume of air that you have to heat or cool in your home by sometimes a lot. So that's one consideration. If you're already set on having tall ceilings, have your tall ceilings, and and like Travis said, adding some extra natural light can be a great thing. But if you're still kind of thinking about, if you're trying to optimize energy savings, keep your ceilings lower because you don't have to heat and cool as much. And the other thing is in Chelan County, we often think about summer because it gets really hot and really uncomfortable sometimes, but we're actually really a winter dominant energy user. So our winter bills are the highest by a lot compared with summer. And so those clerestory windows, if they're super nice ones that Travis puts in there, they're probably not going to leak a lot of energy out. But if you put in some dodgy windows up at the top, all your heat in winter is just going to cruise right on out. So the devil is in the details with the clerestory and with raising your roof up. You got to kind of think about how air flows and where you are, which is down on the ground in your home, and trying to make it comfortable there. That's great. Thank you. One other question for you guys, unless other people have questions that they'd like to drop in the chat. Mary wants to sell her house this year, and she wants to know which upgrades are going to help her increase and maximize her home value.
Just as long as you go with a energy efficient window, there's all sorts of different brands that you can go with that we give the option for. You can go wood window to a vinyl window, and just the biggest key there is the energy efficient. That's what's going to help.
Okay, so you think the quality of the windows that you're putting in really matters?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Josh, I'm going to bring you back in. I feel like you might have a couple questions for Community Glass. So, for those of you just joining us, we have Josh Mitchell, our residential energy advisor at Chelan PUD, and we also have Lisa and Travis Turner of Community Glass, who do a ton of replacements and upgrades of windows and other things in our valley. Josh, did you have any questions for these guys before I give them back their afternoon?
You know, I want to just say thanks for joining us today and being a great partner. You guys have done a lot of windows in the valley and kept homes more efficient. So thanks. I did want to also ask, are you doing any, I brought up storm windows earlier. I know some, the Larson storm windows have been, I think, a cool way to keep older homes that have kind of the integrity, like architectural integrity of a historic home. Have you done much with the Larson storm windows?
We actually did one job just because it was hard to get the historic, so we're able to help them out with just getting the storm windows to get that energy efficient.
And the storm windows there is some PUD eligibility for rebates for storm windows in addition to the vinyl. I don't know that everybody knows that if they live in the historic district, that they are limited, or there are guidelines on what types of windows they can have. And we've had a couple of homeowners that weren't aware of that and called wanting new windows. So it's nice to have that option that still gives them the opportunity to get some efficiency there, because they may not realize that they can't. The historic district's specific about what their front of their house can look like and what windows they can have. So
yeah, appreciate you doing my job for me. We do have rebates for the storm windows, and and we can go into detail about how to qualify for those later if you guys need to get rolling. But yeah.
Well, I wanted to speak just a little bit to the process, because in the time that we've been at Community Glass, it's changed a little bit. You, of course, are more to the eligibility, but for people to understand that they have to either have single pane metal windows or metal windows with a unit, or wood windows. A lot of people don't understand that if you already have an existing vinyl, going to a newer vinyl window is not a current eligibility for the rebate. Additionally, we used to be able to fill out the paperwork for customers, and now that really is an individual process. So we're happy to provide copies of paid invoices. We're happy to provide copies of all the U factors, which is a requirement. So you guys know that it truly qualifies to be more efficient. And we've got a great relationship with Sergio, who we do the paperwork with, but the customer themselves do have to start that process with you guys. So that would be a nice handoff to you to explain how that works, but we'll provide all the details that you guys need.
But I'd like
Awesome.
to jump in here real quick too, is that I think a lot of customers need to know that during the process that you want to go with this, we come out for free, we measure up all the windows, we go, and then so the first step is to really make sure that if it's a go that you want to do this, is then you take before pictures. I think that is so important that they need to know that
Yes.
before pictures. And then at the end of the project, then they take the after pictures because it really helps with the PUD, helps with community glass, and back where we used to do all that, we just kind of got our hands tied down a little bit. That we're still there to help no matter what. So.
Yes, that's such a good reminder. It makes our job so much easier if we can see what was there, what you have now, and then, like you said, the receipts and everything, because we want to make sure that we're replacing things. But I do love the idea of just replacing the insulated glass. If you have older vinyl windows that need to get upgraded, there's no rebate, but as you mentioned, the labor on them and the price in general is a lot lower than replacing the whole shebang and having to install it. So that's a really great tip. I guess I did have another question. We were looking at lead times for various upgrades and things like that, and windows were kind of the longest lead time that we were seeing. What if I wanted new windows in my home before the summer heat? When do I do it?
Well, I'll tell
Today.
you. Yeah, I would definitely, if you are thinking about it, I would definitely jump on it because right now lead times are. We got three manufacturers here. Chelan, we're 16 to 18 weeks out. Alpine is about 10 to 12. Coeur d'Alene windows are 10 to 12. And so, I mean, if it's something that's in the back of your mind that you're thinking about it and you want to try to beat that heat, this is the time.
Well, and people, I think, need to realize that these vendors are also at the mercy of a tight labor force and tight issues with fuel prices and trucking issues and employee issues for even truckers, because the lead time of 10 to 12 weeks is assuming that they have all their employees all show up to work, and their truck drivers all show up to bring the product. So we get, unfortunately, there are issues with getting. You think it's coming in 10 weeks and then it gets bumped out and it gets bumped out. So the whole industry is being impacted for sure. So people should plan ahead.
Well, and it used to be 3 to 4 weeks is what we used to get our product. So that tells you that, yeah.
And what about? Sorry, go ahead.
Flows a little bit. You'll see one of our vendors will come down. We'll like Geldrin right now, 16 to 18 weeks. So we're saying, well, let's get them from Alpine and Coeur d'Alene. So the industry kind of keeps moving, and then Geldrin's lead times will come down because they're not producing as many windows, and those other ones will lead on. So it really does kind of ebb and flow depending on the vendor that you're using.
Sure. Yeah. What about pricing? Are you seeing any changes with that?
Pricing, yes. We've seen anywhere between 12 and 25% in the last 18 months. The other thing that's kind of new to the industry is that we normally get one price increase per year. We've seen from all of our vendors, windows, flat glass, showers, everything. We're seeing on average, a 2 in price increases a year. So, normally you'd see it in February and then it's set for the whole year. We saw them last year in September and October. And then we still came around to February, March this year and had more. So, we're seeing that across the board.
Well, yeah. Okay. So it's go time. If you want windows, let's do it.
The other piece I wanted to add, is I wanted to talk a little bit about screens. I don't know that people realize that we have a full shop here and we can replace screens. And I think one thing that's nice about this area is that we get a couple months in the spring and a couple months in the summer or in the fall that you can not have your air or your heat on. Not everybody can do that, but so if you're having your windows and doors open, you're certainly going to want to have some screens there. So if people want to bring their screens to us and they want to have them ready to go for that perfect spring day when you can have everything open, we can rescreen them, we can rebuild them. Just bring them to the shop. It takes a few days to get them turned around, and then they can have new screens.
Awesome. That's a great pro tip, because yeah, what better ventilation than just opening your window?
Yeah, fresh air.
Totally. All right, Josh, did you have any last questions? Anyone, if you have last questions for Lisa or Travis, drop them in the chat before we bid them adieu. Josh?
Got nothing.
Okay. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's
Thanks
always
for
a
having us.
pleasure. Hey, of course. And if folks want to get in touch with you, I'm sure they can just give Community Glass a call and pick your brain some more on their particular projects.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank
cool. Well, have a great afternoon, you two.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye. All right, Josh. So we're now 100% with Josh, our residential energy advisor and our in-home auditor as well. I will say you have been to quite a few homes, checking them out, seeing what improvements folks can make, whether it is windows or something super simple like just programming their thermostat differently. Yeah, let's chat about summer. I think we're good in the windows department, but why don't we start chatting about what folks can do or what they should be doing in spring about this time before it gets really hot? What are your top things that folks should be thinking about?
Yeah, inevitably we're gonna have a hot summer, and it's just
Spoiler
the way it
alert,
is.
it's coming.
And this is the time to start thinking about it, not the time when you turn on your air conditioning for the first time and it doesn't start. I don't know how many
This has not happened to me in the last year.
I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody. I forgot about that. But really, these are the times to start thinking about this. Like when you're not heating or cooling your house, now is the time to get ready for that hot summer. And I came up with a couple like short, simple things. Part of it's like spring cleaning ideas, but also part of it's like prep work to get ready for summer. And I can break them down that way.
Let's do it. I'll even take visual notes on the screen. Hit it.
All right. So the first thing I would do is, from a spring cleaning standpoint, is I would look at replacing your air filter in your HVAC system. It's probably been more than 30 days since you looked at it. Be honest with yourself, Lacy.
So I'm actually pretty good at replacing
You're
them.
on top of it. Okay.
I will say that I do I have some old ones from our old system that are 16s, and I have a 15 system now, so I know how to like pleat the edges to slide them in, which totally works. But yeah, I replace my filters. Thank you.
Good. Maybe I was doing a little bit of self projecting onto you, but
okay, you got some
I think I need
to.
Yeah, I think I need to replace my filter. But this is a good time to do it. Your air conditioning will run a lot more efficiently when you have a fresh filter on there. We won't go into air quality, but that's another thing to be thinking about. Coming summertime, you'll want to replace them more often than every 30 days when we have poor air quality. So.
And I will interject and say that it's a good idea to buy some MERV 13 filters in case we get wildfire smoke in summer, in case the air quality is really poor outside. Having those ready to go. MERV 13 is the rating, and those are what's recommended by the Department of Health so that you're cleaning your air. And you can get those online for DHPs as well, ductless heat pumps. And they're pretty readily available at all the hardware stores here for your central systems.
Good point.
Plug.
I remember when you did the air filter or the air quality power hour last year, I went out and bought all MERV 13s for the next year, and it's a good idea. So as sticking to the spring cleaning topic, I want to go with cleaning your refrigerator coils. And if you've never done that, you're going to be really grossed out because on your refrigerator, your coils are either on the back of your refrigerator or they're on underneath your refrigerator, and you pull your fridge out if they're in the back, and you can actually just get a vacuum with the attachment and just vacuum up around the back side of to get those coils to allow your refrigerator to run a lot more efficiently. So if you feel like your refrigerator is struggling, this can really help out. Now, if you don't know where your coils are, that's probably because they're underneath the refrigerator. And the first thing you do is take the grill off and put that vacuum attachment underneath there, and then I'd grab a paintbrush or something and brush off all the coils that you weren't able to get from the vacuum cleaner, and wipe it down, and then re-vacuum again, and it'll really help the performance of your refrigerator. If you want this thing to last longer, this is one of the best things you can do.
And how often should I be doing this?
I would do it every fall and every spring. It was
Okay.
the recommendation.
So like daylight savings, you change your smoke detector batteries and you clean your fridge coils.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm not just the ones in your house, but do it in your beer fridge too, or your wherever you keep in your garage. I often this is when I am going and doing energy audits, I see a high base load and I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going on here. Why do these people have such
Time
a high
out.
base load?
What's a base load? What's a base load, Josh?
Okay.
Get out of here.
High base load meaning they're using a lot of energy when they're not heating or cooling their home. So usually that's appliances, water heat, and lighting. And so I'll go into the house with an idea of what's going on. Usually I think it's, lots of teenagers in the home that's keeping the base load high. But then I'll go into the garage and I'll see a fridge, and I'll be, well, your base load's high because you have this really old 1980 fridge. And they just kind of look at me and they're like, that's my beer fridge.
Let's not talk about that one. That's not on the table.
It's not on the table. It really isn't. So, but what you can do is make sure that it's running efficiently by cleaning the coils on that. So,
yeah.
When talking about cleaning coils, I prefer, from an air conditioning standpoint, you can go out and clean your coils with an air compressor on your air conditioning. But I think it's in your best interest and your equipment's best interest to do a semi-annual or an annual tune-up on your HVAC system, whether it be a heat pump or your air conditioning unit. And that would include a cleaning of that system. You do not want to be responsible for breaking your fins in your air conditioning system. And I think it's really great to start, if you haven't built a relationship with your HVAC contractor, find one and get on their service agreement so that you can get an annual or a semi-annual AC tune-up. Think about your HVAC system like a car. You're not going to just drive it and never get it tuned up. This thing's too important to let it just sit there and then expect it to run efficiently as possible the first time.
For 33 years.
Yes. Again, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but it is really
had
important.
A good run, man. Had a great run.
Everybody always is complaining about how long these things only are lasting 8, 10, 12 years, but they're also not servicing this equipment. And so if you want yours to last 33 years, you need to build a relationship with your contractor, your HVAC contractor, so that you can make sure that it's, getting the proper refrigerant in there if it has any sort of leak at all, making sure it's staying clean, making sure that the fan is running efficiently. So
Or that the condenser coils inside are not covered in dog hair.
Are you
It's a real
pointing
thing.
fingers at me now?
No.
Okay.
I've seen it before.
Okay.
It's like, why is it, why are we getting all this condensation and stuff? It's like, oh, when
Yeah.
you do AC tune-up, they really go in and give it a good buffing, and it makes a big difference. That's why our AC lasted for 32 years. It got its tune-up, and it lived twice as long as it should have. And finally kicked the bucket in our last heat wave. And then we had to wait for weeks at a time, because if you don't plan to replace your equipment and you wait until the last minute, I'm not going to blame you, but it gets really hot. And my husband thought it was a fun game that we could play of like hiding in our basement and going without AC during our heat wave. And it's just not that fun. It's not. And yeah, last year after the heat wave, I checked with contractors, and there was a 8-week wait for system replacements, because there's only so many crews that can come out and take care of it. A crew can do about 4, maybe 5 replacements a week. So you do the math. It takes some time when everyone's systems kick the bucket in the same time.
And if you're getting above those 15 years, it is started. It's time for you to start putting a little bit of money aside to begin replacing that system. Doing it at a planned time, it's so much better for your house than to have to wait 8 weeks in the middle of the heat, or vice versa, with a furnace that goes out in December. So, but that's all part of like building a relationship with your HVAC contractor too. So.
Yeah. I'm going to add that. Plan for your equipment replacement. If you know
And
it's coming,
spring's a
plan
great
for it.
time to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right. What else
All
you
right.
got?
So we're done with the spring cleaning. Now it's like, let's look at prep. And I'm going to just continue to hound on this because it's such a great product. But install a smart thermostat. I think what people don't realize is that it's easy to install. The main products that we are seeing doing with the do-it-yourself install is the Ecobees and the Nests. Their customer service is top notch. They do a great job of helping you install it on your own. And this product has verifiable energy savings. Now, the thing about it is that you don't just install it and walk away. You do need to know how to use this. You can't just expect it to automatically save energy for you.
But it's smart.
It's smart, but it's only as smart as the customer too. So you need to understand how it works, and if you're not going to be home, if you're going to be home all day, then it's probably not in your best interest to use the smart thermostat in the way that it's already set up to be, because it's going to be turning the power or your cooling down when you're at home.
So when you buy it, it comes with some sort of default settings that then it like modulates or changes based off of how you actually use it. So it gets better over time, but you can do it a big favor if you already know when you're going to be home and when you're not, by just, instead of going with the default American, you go with your default settings, and then it can learn over time.
And I would also add, that's a great point. I'd also add that it's like I struggled with mine for the first year, because one of the default settings that I had with it was when I wasn't at the house, it would drop the heat down to 59 degrees. And so then I would show up and it was 59 degrees at my house in December, and it would. Now I don't have a heat pump; I have a gas furnace, so that's part of the reason. Um, but so what I had to do is set the parameters, say, okay, maybe only go to 65 degrees or 62 degrees instead of 59, because it would take hours to catch up, and I was just not comfortable, and I wanted to rip that thing out of the wall. So there's some simple things that you can
Get
do to
one,
make sure.
but then give Josh a call, because
Yeah,
you can walk people through like how to set it up, or any problems. You could troubleshoot that. So yeah, it's install it and then set it up for success, and we can help you with that.
perfect. That's a great way of saying that. So
Cool.
all right.
All right.
It's not too hot. It's not too cold out. What's a better place and a better time to crawl up in your attic and check that thing out? It's not that scary up there. In fact, it can be really interesting. If it's a new house to you, you don't know what they used to store up there. I've seen all sorts of things when I get up in attics, old photos. You never know what you're going to see, but it is good to really see what's going on in your attic. If you get up there and you can see the ceiling joists, that means you probably, or I know you need more attic insulation. And we'll touch that second part of that later. And before you start blowing any attic insulation in, it's also a really good time, if you are going to do that or have somebody do that, to look for electrical and plumbing penetrations and see if there's any gaps or holes from your attic into your conditioned space or your main living area, because that's the easiest way to save energy, is to seal those up and then spray the attic insulation or throw the bats down. I prefer loose as opposed to bats, but bats can be effective too. So bats often will have gaps between the 8 inches of, and if you crisscross it, it helps, but people often don't do that. So
Crisscross your bats, folks.
There you go.
It's like when you're rolling out your insulation, roll it one way and then go back and roll it the other way for the second layer, so that there's, crisscross, no gaps.
Yeah. That'll help keep the heat out of your house in the summertime and on that top floor, and then in the wintertime it keeps your heat in from leaving your attic. So
yeah, it's a big one. And if you need to top up your insulation, we've got some pretty solid rebates for insulation as well, like up to $1 a square foot, which, take your square footage. If you don't have anything in there right now, and you probably know it because you're generally not super comfortable with an uninsulated attic, the hot outside just comes pouring in, and all your heat in winter goes straight out. So if you do that, you can get some great rebates from Chelan PUD for your insulation.
And I want to go back to that smart thermostat too, because we also have a rebate for that. I think we have a $100 rebate for those, and they're running anywhere from $150 to $250 for smart thermostats that pay off pretty quick, couple year payback. And then as far as insulation goes, if you go up in your attic and you don't see any insulation in there, we'll pay $1 per square foot. If you see some, we'll pay 50 cents a square foot. Just like what the community glass folks were saying, we're seeing attic or insulation prices are increasing. We're at anywhere from 12 to 25% increase is what we're seeing as well. So it's not covering as much. The rebate is not covering as much as it used to, but it still provides the same amount of comfort. So
yeah, and it lasts a long time.
Yes. Then the last thing I thought I'd point out, that's not another rebate, but is we live in a really windy valley in the springtime. So the Wenatchee Valley gets a lot of wind coming off during the spring. And it's a good opportunity to close your house up and kind of do like a consumer friendly blower door test. If it's really windy outside in April sometime, close your house up as tight as possible, and you can get some positive pressure in the home just through the wind or by the wind. And so if you have an incense stick, you can walk around and go around to your windows and doors and anywhere else you might think that there's some air leakage penetration. And if the incense stick, which is hot, the smoke is hot, quickly escapes out of the into a space, into the wall, that means you have a gap that you can my computer just shut down.
Well, we can
You
still
probably
see
can
you.
see me. I just gotta
can hear
turn
you.
it back on. So that's a really good opportunity to during those windy times to do a blower, like a customer friendly blower door assessment, since that's not something that most people have, is that equipment. But it acts like that, and
Yeah,
hot air.
if you want to get rid of the demons, you just do it with sage, right? So you burn the sage
Yeah.
and you go
Yeah.
around, and you could do this. And if you do it around your windows or around your outlets, you can see the variation where it's not sealed well on a windy day going through there. So incense, sage, just something that's
Something that
smoking a
will
little
burn.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you seal it. If the smoke starts going all crazy because the wind's blowing through your little outlet on that side of your house, get some caulking and seal it.
I thought I had a spray can at my desk. I don't see it right now, but those low foam or low expansion foam spray cans are really great for going around the windows. Like you might have to pull the window frames off, or not the frames,
A
but
trim.
the trim. Thank you. And then it's spray there, and then weather stripping. It's a good time to look at your weather stripping on your doors as well.
What do you mean by weather stripping? Like, are we talking about the like hairy fuzz that they put around windows and doors that kind of blocks stuff, or what does it look like?
Yeah, weather stripping is either foam or it can be a lot of different materials, but it's trying to fill the gap of where the door is from the frame. So if you can see through it, then you got a gap. If you can slide a dollar bill up and down freely, that means you probably have opportunities to, when it's closed, I should say, that means you have opportunities to improve that weather stripping so the air has more resistance it slows it down from leaking out of your house.
Sure.
So
For sure. Yeah, there's sweeps on the bottom of like screen doors or storm doors and things like that too that can be raised and lowered. So just have a look, make sure that, all the years of doing this and scraping against the bottom of your floor, it hasn't worn it up. And, you just take your screwdriver and lower the sweep. That's an easy one to do.
I had to replace mine completely last spring, and
Your
now
storm
I
door?
can't. No, my sweep,
Oh.
And now I can't have a piece of carpet or a rug in front of my door. So, but it's more efficient. So,
yeah, I added a storm door to my front door because I like the ability to have it open or closed, and it has like a window and stuff. And same thing. I had to bring my mat down a step to clean the feet before. I know it's hard. All right, can we chat about pools? Is it good? Because I have some
yeah,
questions
unless
for
there's other
folks.
questions on.
If people have questions for Josh about getting ready for summer, you can drop them in the chat, and he will be happy to answer those for you. But we do have one related to a couple. Well, we've got a couple of different things. So one of them is a renter, which we've gotten a question. There's no built-in AC. So what do you recommend for AC and air filtration? They must have listened to our smoke show last year. What do you recommend for a renter who can't just punch a hole in the wall and throw in a ductless heat pump?
That's a great question. As far as, let's start with a window air conditioning first. But you make sure to get an Energy Star one would be my recommendation, and then to seal up the window gasket, or buy one of those mobile ones that you can keep on the floor and then have it ventilate outside and seal up where that hose goes. I personally, from an air filtration standpoint, I took the advice that I watched on Power Hour and built one of the box fan air infiltration. And I believe Lacy could put that link on here at some point if she wanted to, on how to build one of those. But you can get a 20 by 20 fan and get a 20 by 20 MERV 13 filter, and then seal
Slap
that
them together.
yeah, seal that with duct tape or whatever to the fan, and then blow the air through the fan or through the ventilation by the fan, and it can help out with that. Now I'm going off the cuff with my air conditioner suggestions. I don't know if you can't install a ductless heat pump. That would be the only way I know to cool your house. I don't know what you would think, Lacy.
Yeah, with the AC, with the air conditioning units, the only thing I recommend is get ones ideally that circulate your indoor air. So the window shakers, the little boxes that you throw in that are, you open your window, you throw in the box, maybe support it outside. Those are pulling in outdoor air, which is fantastic until there's a smoke event. And then you're pulling in really toxic air into your house while trying to stay cool. And that's bad news. So instead, if you could look for the ACs where most of the unit is inside and then it vents outside, so that reject heat that it's taking, it'll send outside, but it's not actively pulling in that outside air. Just in case, I mean, most of the time we don't have smoke in the air, but it's a good idea to have at least one of those that you could use in the main room that you have in case of a smoke event, so you can be cool and healthy at the same time. That's an important one, and most of those do sell out during a smoke event, especially
Another
if it's
thing to
hot.
think about for spring too.
I know, all this planning ahead. What a
Just
drag.
expect that we're going to have air quality issues at some point every summer now. So do some planning.
Okay, thanks, Josh.
I know. Hey, I want to talk about, before we go into
Okay.
anything else, I want to point out that something that Lacy brought up earlier is that Chelan PUD does offer energy audits. These are all things that we would be looking for when we went to the house. We haven't opened up. We have not opened up going into house energy audits yet. However, that should be coming here soon. I personally feel comfortable going when we open the offices April 4th. I think I'm going to start going into homes. However, we don't have as much time right now to do that because we're short staffed in the office. So we do already have a wait list for people wanting to have in home audits. However, if you want to talk to us about something specific and don't need just an energy audit, the phone number is on there, and you can get a hold of our energy solutions team to ask specific questions. More times than not, that's usually what people want anyways. Like, hey, I actually just wanted to see what you thought about, with this home. Would a ductless heat pump work well? Where would I put my heads? These are questions that Sergio and I can answer over the phone, or even just with a video chat. We're available. So this is how to get a hold of us. So.
Yeah, 509-661-8008. And one of us will answer the phone and be able to help you out. You're right. So if you were interested in a free, 100% free home energy audit with Josh or Sergio, you'd go to chelanpud.org and /save, and then you'd go down and get your home energy audit. You can do them virtually right now. You can go and schedule them online. And there's a little button that you can click to be added to the wait list. And I will email you as soon as these guys are ready to go out into homes again. So that's how you would set that up. But yeah, you're right. You could just call. Just call us. We're here. Yeah. Okay. Here's one for you, Josh. I have a big window facing south that bakes our living room in summer. What do I do?
Yeah, the best thing to do is, if you haven't yet, purchase a window covering.
Plant
whether
a
it be a blind.
tree. 20 years, it'll be amazing.
I mean, you can do that. I mean, you could. That's a great way to save energy all summer long. I also think blinds or exterior window coverings are a great way to do that as well, too. So.
Yeah, during our fun experiment called Our AC is Broken, Let's See How Long We Can Stand the Heat, we put up, so we went and just bought those like awnings that people use out in their yards. They're just kind of like, they're sort of like a mesh fabric. They're, I don't know, 10 by 4 or whatever. Well, we bought those and we put those off of our roof line, shading the south side of our house. And the south side of our house, we don't actually have windows on it, but it made a big difference just by shading our house on a wall that hopefully is insulated to 1970 standards, but it made a huge difference keeping that sun off of the side of our house. It did not heat up. Probably, I'd say a good 5-degree difference just by shading it. And, it costs, I don't know, $20 for a shade or something like that. So you're totally right. Shade it. It's all good. And you can get different glass, like the coatings for your windows. If when you go to replace your window, you can get different coatings that reflect a lot more light for the south side.
Yeah, the low E coatings are great on the south side. I would never put them on the north side. You want to collect as much of that solar heat in the wintertime as possible. So.
Yeah, shade it. Shade it. Great. Josh, can you talk about solar? Our phones have been blowing up about solar. I don't know if there's a big ad campaign going out from installers or if installers are going door to door, but I think everyone here has been getting a lot of calls about adding rooftop solar.
Spending a lot of time talking to customers about solar, and if that's something that you're very interested in doing, then do it, but don't expect that you're doing it to reduce your carbon footprint or to save energy from the PUD. We have carbon-free power that's as cheap as you're ever going to be able to purchase it from the Columbia River, and so there are things that you can do to improve the efficiency of your house that will be a lot cheaper than putting solar panels on. Upgrade your HVAC system, put in new windows. Those are going to be cheaper and better for your home than putting solar panels on. Now, if you've already done that and you still want to do more, and I think that's a great way to do it. But make sure you have your home buttoned up and tightened with lots of insulation and sealed up, and you got a high efficiency HVAC system in. This is my opinion anyway. And then I would go and look at pricing on solar. And I don't know if Lacy, if you can throw that link up for, the video that you made, but that would be a good FAQ on like what is solar in Chelan County, and how does it benefit our customers here? Lacy came up with a really great, like, eat your veggies first, and then if solar,
I
eat
didn't
your
come up
veggies.
with it. I won't take credit, but yes,
Well, Lacy introduced that
eat
to me.
your conservation carrots before your solar sweets. And what are we talking about? So if you want to add energy to our electric system, okay, so you're like, I'm going to create some electricity. This is going to be awesome. The cheapest way that you can do it is by not using so much darn electricity. Okay, so if you use this much and then you shave it down to here, all of this stuff is free to send to your neighbors, to other places. So you're absolutely right, Josh. Like, our power comes from hydro, which is a green renewable energy source. It's wicked cheap at 2.7 cents per kilowatt hour is what, you'd be net metered off of if you got solar. And so the best way to do is to, instead of using this much energy, use this and generate this much energy to send elsewhere. So you mentioned a really great way to do that, saving energy, aka generating it, is make sure your home is a lean, green conservation machine. And you can do that for a lot less money than by actually putting up PV panels or micro wind or any of these other things. It's a lot cheaper. Because you're getting net metered at our rates, which are 2.7 cents, your system, the value of the energy that it's generating is so low, it's not you're never going to pay off your system by the energy it's generated. Solar is super cool, and it's even super cooler in places where electricity is really expensive. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not an economic benefit. If if every house in Chelan County had rooftop solar and we were just generating all this crazy power and we were selling it elsewhere, some coal plant elsewhere is going to be able to get turned off. Like, there is an impact because we are all connected in the grid. So it's not that, there's zero impact. It's just that in terms of what you could do with that, $10,000, the best impact you could do is to save energy that we already have and send that energy. And then once you do all of that and you have this, strail bale home that's passive and all of these really cool things, which I get excited about, then throw some solar up because, yeah, it's a really cool thing. But yeah, you're right. For the video, I will put a link up here. You can check out the economics of it, which shows you that the payback period, which is fancy speak for if you throw $10,000 at it, how long will it take for you to pay that back, is a lot longer than your system will last, unfortunately, in Chelan County. So,
and we have a lot of sun. There's no doubt about it. And over Blewett Pass and go into Ellensburg, and you see a lot more solar panels there than you do here. I think we have close to 100 solar producers in the county right now, but I can count almost 100 when I just go to Ellensburg alone. And that's because the power over there is so much more expensive. We're talking almost 4 times the price there. So the payback does happen sooner there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. And as always, if you have questions about your specific setup, if you, for environmental reasons, want to have solar power added to your home, give us a call. So Dr. Jim White is our resident solar expert. He has solar panels himself, as well as an EV, and he can talk to you about your specific setting. But if it's purely an economic decision, use your money to save energy first. That's the best bang for your buck. All right, Josh, it is 1:03 and this is called the Power Hour. So is there anything else that you would like to add for posterity to this particular show?
Well, we were going to talk about pools, but we'll save that for another time. Yeah. There's several homeowners that might want to hear about that, and we can do.
Why don't we do it? It's okay. I have 5 minutes, and I want to talk about heated pools because maybe one day I'll be fancy too.
That doesn't surprise me, Lacy. So, okay, let's talk about pools.
Cool.
There are some low cost, no cost things to do to save power when it comes to heating your pool, assuming you're heating your pool. And the first thing I would do, regardless of whether you're heating it or not, is to use a pool cover. Not only does that reduce your evaporation of your water, it also reduces your evaporation of your chemicals, so you're going to have to use less chemicals, and then it helps retain the heat from the day overnight, so that it's warmer in the morning. When you want to get in, you just roll that pool cover out. The other thing is, it can when you don't have that pool cover on it and you are heating the pool, anything that's evaporated, it was already warmed up. Now you have to reheat the water the fresh water that you're putting back in. So that's
and you gotta pay for the water. Like, that's a bummer.
Most people have to pay for the water too. So so that's a huge thing that I'm shocked to see how few people use pool covers in Chelan County. It doesn't take that long to roll something in and out compared to the cost that it takes to not have it on there. So that's one thing. I'd also talk real briefly on investing in more efficient equipment. If you have a pool, you have a pool pump. A pool pump there's two different types. You can have like a continuous with an on or off switch, or you can have a variable speed pool pump. Those variable speed pool pumps save so much more energy, and they're going to cost maybe, I was doing a little bit of research, like $1,200 to $1,500 versus $700 to $1,200 for a single speed heat pump. And oh, my phone's ringing here, sorry. So then that payback happens pretty quick. You're going to save anywhere from in Chelan County like $100 to $200, sometimes $300, depending on how often you're running your pool pump. Second thing about pool pumps is keep them on a if you do have a single speed heat pool pump, run it on a schedule. 6 hours is all you need. A lot of people keep them going continuously, and that is a lot of energy.
Just full, pedal to the metal 24/7 during pool season.
Yeah.
That uses a lot of energy. Okay, we've got a question from Doug here. He says he just moved to Chelan County. What's the most efficient way to heat an above ground pool? Which I would say is the sun. But beyond that, for mechanical ways, what you got, Josh?
Yeah, we have there's a product called a heat pump pool heater that if you think a heat pump in the wintertime is efficient, when you're using 60 to 80 degree temperatures to heat up your water in your pool, it is got a coefficient of performance of somewhere between 4 and 5.
So that means that it's 4 to 5 times more efficient than if you're just
electric resistance.
blasting it with the electric resistance. Yeah, which is a big number.
It is. And we actually have kind of we don't have a full-blown pool heat pump rebate program, but if you are heating your pool currently right now with electric resistance, call us. We can pay up to 18 cents a kilowatt hour we have some projected savings that we can do based on what your home is using in the summertime for heat for energy. It usually is covering, so we've seen savings of anywhere from like 2,000 kilowatt hours up to 16,000 kilowatt hours.
So how much is that in terms of that 18 cents per kWh
Yes,
rebate?
anywhere from $400 to $4,000 on
what
rebates.
$400 to $4,000 rebates just for getting a heat pump pool heater?
And that's why, because it's so efficient. They're so much more efficient than electric resistance. So.
That's a big rebate check.
It is.
Doug, get a heat pump pool heater and then call Josh. Apparently he will just give you giant checks.
Now, Doug, I will caveat that with, if you're not heating right now, we don't have a program for you. So
yeah, we won't help you use more electricity.
Yeah.
Going from zero heat to insert number here. But yeah, if you have something that's already existing and you want to make it 4 to 5 times more efficient, we can help you out with that.
And then I'll just point out that the American Red Cross recommendation for temperature of a recreational pool is 81 degrees.
Why does the Red Cross weigh in on that?
I think it's a safety thing. It can be a safety thing. If you're in a performance pool, they say 78 degrees, but if you're just kind of lounging around, which we do in Chelan County really well.
It's by the shop.
Yeah.
The shop refrigerator filled with beer.
Yeah, exactly. 81 degrees is kind of what they recommend where you don't overheat too. So, and then if you have underground lighting, some of those lights, if you haven't replaced them with LED, are using 400 to 500 watts for those halogen lights to work. And the LED equivalent for underground lighting is only using 45 watts. So we're talking, significant savings with those too. So that's all I got for pool tips.
That's
Thanks
it.
for the question, Doug.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, Josh, thanks so much for breaking down some of the summer stuff for us. If folks have questions, we'll be back next month. I will actually be at the Chelan Earth Day Fair at the lovely Chelan Riverwalk Park, which is actually a PUD park, part of our public power benefits. That's on April 16th. It's a Saturday. We'll be there from 10 to 4, and we'll be live streaming from the fair at noon on that Saturday. So I hope that everybody can make it. And as always, if you have questions for our team, we are totally here. You can email us, call us, check out the website, and ask your questions.
Hey, I'm going to plug that Sergio and I will be at the Wenatchee Earth Day Fair as well, which is the following week.
It is. It's the 23rd of April.
23rd of April. So, and that's at Pybus Market. So,
yeah, that's true. But come to the Chelan one because it's going to be awesome. And you have a special gift, I will say. I don't know if we should keep it top secret, but we have a really, really cool gift for Chelan County residents that we get excited
it's
about.
at the Wenatchee
It's at both.
Earth Day Fair too. So,
but no double dipping.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep it.
All right, cool.
We'll let you know when it gets closer.
Okay, cool. Well, Josh, thank you so much. And guys, we'll see you in April. Have a fantastic spring.